Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys checking out today's video and hanging out with me a little bit. Guys, got another on the water video for y'all today. We're going to show you guys how to fish a bluff bank. I got a really nice bluff here that's a perfect example of how to fish a bluff. So what I want to do is I'm going to sort of take you down this bluff here. I'm going to turn the camera around and show you how I like to fish bluffs and talk a little bit about the conditions, different time of year, some techniques to use on them, because man, bluffs are great places to catch bass. They don't get fished as much as a lot of other places, but man, there's some big fish that live on them certain times of the year. So we'll get into that in today's video. And apologize, guys, about the wind here. If you guys, we're up here. I'm at Lake of the Ozarks right now, and it has been blowing like 30 miles an hour all day long. So I hope the audio is not too bad. Also, guys, big thank you out there to everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. I'd like to invite everybody to consider doing that if you haven't. And also a big thank you for everybody that's been using all my links that I put in every video description. If you guys are using and bookmarking those links for your tackle purchases, big thank you for me and my family. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn the camera around here. Hopefully the wind's not too bad, and we're going to go down this bluff and sort of talk about it a little bit. So here we go. Guys, here we go. Here's a nice example of like a vertical wall bluff. Now, all bluffs are not created equal. Some bluffs are not like vertical walls like this. Some of them have a little bit more of a slope, and they have, you know, broken rock on it. This is a good vertical face one. And one of the things to remember about fishing a bluff, it's all about the bluff in relationship to the water depth here. Now you can see here, we've got, you know, almost 30 foot deep here, and I'm about 10 foot away from the bank. So this is a very, very steep bluff here. And actually these super steep bluffs like this that drop off real sharp, that don't have a lot of broken rock, these are not necessarily the best type of bluffs. But you don't really know, because the water depth on the bluff changes all the time. So sometimes there's little sections of the bluff that will have flatter slopes to it, or maybe have some broken rock. But the main thing that I like when I'm fishing a bluff, I like to be about this far off the bank here. You can see, like I said, we're about 10 foot off the bank, and I like to be sitting in like 15 foot of water. That's like a perfect depth for a bluff here. But as far as the technique goes, it's all relative to the presentation. Now, for example, like on these bluffs like here, if you're fishing a crankbait or a jerkbait, you need to be vertical on it. I mean, not vertical, but you need to cast parallel to it. Get your boat as tight as it needs to be in order to hit the bottom. And if you're pitching and flipping like a jig or creature bait, you know, to the bluff, you know, you can just stay at a 45-degree angle. Now, bluffs, they have a lot of unique features, every one of them themselves, and you need to capitalize on the irregularities. Now, we're going to go down this bank here, and I'll show you what I mean. Say, for example, any time that you have like a lay-down tree in the water, this is going to be a high percentage area. You know, you can't really count on them, but anytime that you get around some type of a tree like that, throw a big swim bait or flip or pitch a jig is really good. And another thing here, guys, this is the biggest part to remember. See, this is a rock transition here. If you're not familiar with what it is, you can see how the bluff goes from like a vertical wall and it transitions down into some broken rock here. Guys, this is the sweet spot. Anytime you find a rock transition, definitely take your time, fish it thoroughly, because you can see here there's been a rock slide that has come off this bank, and these rocks come down in here and they probably come down into the water. So definitely, you know, when you get to something like this, take your time, because not only that the slide is a sweet spot, but the adjacent transition is also a sweet spot. So make sure you hit anything around it. Also, guys, any type of nook and cranny, any irregular feature, you can see right there, I don't know how well you can see it, but there's just a little bitty indentation. That's going to be a high percentage area. Here in front of us, we got another really good example of a rock transition here. This is actually where the bluff ends right here. So you have the bluff channel bank here intersecting with, just a completely different angle of bank. It's a lot flatter, a lot more chunk rock on it. So this is going to be a really good area right here. Guys, I found a little quiet spot here out of the wind a little bit to try to finish this video up here. It's just, God dang, it's just so freaking windy out there. But anyway, guys, let's finish up here by talking about techniques a little bit, about fishing bluffs, different time of year. Now, there's two things that with bluffs, like anything else we talk about all the time, that's really important. It's your water clarity in correlation with your water temperature that will determine the techniques that are the best for y'all. So I'm gonna sort of run through a little bit here as far as, we'll go through each 4 seasons. I'll give you guys some tips and advice. Wintertime is a really good time to fish bluff banks, especially if you have water visibility that's pretty clear. If I'm fishing bluffs in the wintertime, I like to have at least 4 foot of visibility. And a lot of different things work on it, again, depending upon the angle of the bluff. Alabama rig, jerk bait are gonna be really good baits on it. Casting a little finesse jig can be good. Like I said, down to 20 foot or so. Sometimes also, guys, I like to jig a spoon on them. I like to get out off those bluff banks a little bit, like in 20 to 30 foot of water, and fish a jig and spoon vertical. But most of the time, for me, it's a jerk bait and an Alabama rig, as long as that water temperature's in the 40s. Now, during the springtime of the year, pre-spawn is a really good time to fish a bluff bank, especially the rock transitions. Rock transitions during the pre-spawn, when the water temperature's in the 50s, is a big fish area. On the rock transitions, a lot of different techniques that can work. I swear, guys, any video I do, somebody's going to be doing some construction or something. So sorry about that noise again. So anyway, during the pre-spawn, probably my favorite way to fish a bluff would be slow rolling the spinnerbait, especially on the transition type areas. 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce spinnerbait, casting it at a 45-degree angle to the bluffs, good way to catch them. Pitching a full-size jig's really good during the pre-spawn on bluffs. In fact, the biggest limit of fish I ever actually weighed in a tournament, which was 26 pounds, 7 ounces down at Bull Shoals Lake, came on a bluff, on a jig during the pre-spawn. They were just stacked on this particular bluff, so definitely remember that. Crankbait too, guys, again, like a wiggle wart, some type of crawdad crankbait can be really good. Now, during the rest of the spawn, it's like during the spawn, bluffs are not that good. Spotted bass will spawn on bluffs. So if you've got real clear water and a big spotted bass lake, sometimes you can get on those bluffs with like a shaky head or a Ned rig and still catch them. After the fish get done spawning, bluffs are really good with topwater. If you have clear water again, you can get on a bluff like with a walking topwater and parallel those bluffs. I've caught a lot of good fish doing that. Maybe a swim bait also, something like a mag draft or a glide bait, especially on those rock transitions. Now, in the summertime of the year, I don't fish bluffs very much during the daytime. Bluffs are really good at night fishing, so if you guys like to fish at night, fishing a Texas rig worm or a jig on those bluffs can be really good. And then back again in the fall time of the year, they start to get good again. One of my favorite ways to fish a bluff in the fall time of the year is to burn a spinnerbait on those bluffs that have some wind going on it. So I'll take a little spinnerbait like that Megabass SV3 with the small willow leaf blades on it and parallel those bluff banks that have wind on it. And guys, you can have a ball. You get a low light day where the water temperatures, say down around 60, up, 60, low 60s, cloudy day, clear water. And guys, some of the funnest fishing I've ever had have been ripping a spinnerbait on those bluffs. And also, again, the glide bait and the big swim bait can also work during that time of the year as well. But the main thing, it's like, it's been my experience on bluffs, it's like they're either really good or they're just not any good at all. It's like when fish are using a bluff, a lot of times a lot of fish use a bluff. I'll give you one example down at Table Rock Lake last year. There's this one bluff down there that I've fished for 40 years, and it's about probably a half-mile section of bluff on Main Lake Channel Bluff there. And I was down there, it was in the winter, last winter down there, and I fished that whole bluff, never caught a single bass on it. Everything looked perfect for it, never caught any fish during the pre-spawn on it either, like what I was talking about. But I came back there either like the middle or end of May, and I started fishing that big Megabass Canada jerkbait on there. And guys, I must have caught 50 or 60 fish on that big jerkbait on those bluffs there. So they move up and down them. They use them as like migration routes, and it's worth your time to fish them. So anyway, guys, that's just a few tips on it. Like I said, really pay attention to the water depth, how the bluff slopes off, all those irregular features, the cuts, the transitions, the little rock, outcroppings, anything like that's going to be a high percentage area. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you catch a few, and we'll check in later. See you.